Imagine being a loser your whole life, but then one accident with electricity gives you superpower. Now, your touch can literally attract any person, but still, things don't end well for you. The series opens with a guy staring at a pop singer on TV like she belongs to a world he could never touch. His name is Dap-Free Pepstein, a completely average 22-year-old loser working at a digital plaza, spending his days doing the same thing over and over, guiding customers toward products they probably already decided to buy before asking him anything. Nothing about his life stands out. And honestly, neither does he. While helping people all day, his eyes naturally drift toward beautiful women around him. But admiration is as far as it goes. His self-esteem is so low that in his mind, girls like that exist in a separate universe, one where someone like him was never invited. After work, he heads home by metro, already looking mentally exhausted. He ends up squeezed between a man sleeping like he died 2 stations ago and a cute girl sitting stiffly beside him. Right in front of him, a couple is busy taking selfies together, smiling like life personally favors them. That alone is enough to ruin his mood. To distract himself, he opens social media, only to discover that his friend Billy Gapes now has a girlfriend. And not just any girlfriend, a cute one. Immediately, he texts his other friend, Donald Bump, basically announcing his suffering like it's breaking news. He tells him Billy somehow managed to get a girlfriend, and naturally asks the only important question, why is everyone moving forward except him? Bump, being the supportive friend he is, laughs first, then casually reminds him that Dap-Free isn't exactly living life. He's more like a spectator, not a participant. Still, he offers to take him to a club, but Dap-Free refuses instantly. He says he wants a girlfriend, not some fake club interaction. Because apparently in his mind, club is not where you meet women. And that sentence alone tells you almost everything about why he is the way he is. For a second, he actually considers it. You can see it in the way he squints, thinking maybe he should say yes. But no, the fear wins again. At that exact moment, the train suddenly jerks hard. The sleeping man beside him collapses sideways, forcing Dap-Free off balance too, and his knee brushes against the girl sitting next to him. Just for a second, but that second is enough. She instantly pulls her leg away, stares at him like he just committed a crime, and coldly says one word.
Disgusting.
And just like that, whatever little dignity he had left for the day disappears. Because the worst part is, he didn't even do it on purpose. Later, dragging himself up the apartment stairs like his soul got left behind somewhere at the station, that single word keeps replaying in his head. That look on her face, too. And with every step, one question keeps following him. Does he genuinely stand no chance with women? Then, right there in the hallway, he notices his next-door neighbor arriving at the same time. And suddenly everything else disappears. Because to him, she is absurdly beautiful. The kind of beautiful that instantly makes a guy forget how basic human conversation works. They've lived next to each other long enough to recognize faces, but somehow he has never even heard her voice before. Now his brain starts collapsing under pressure. Should he greet her? Should he stay quiet? She's already reaching for the door. This is literally his last chance. His entire body stiffens, panic rises, and right before she enters, he forces out a weak,
"Hello?"
She turns, looks at him, and replies softly,
Hello?
That should have been enough. A normal person would stop there, but Dap-Free is no normal person when nervous. Covered in sweat, hands practically trembling, he awkwardly adds,
"Then, have a nice evening."
Even she looks caught off guard by how strangely formal that sounded. After a small pause, she answers,
You too.
Then both immediately escape into their own apartments like neither knows what just happened. The second Dap-Free gets inside, staring at the floor, and then suddenly explodes, grabbing his head, scratching wildly, shouting at himself.
"What the hell is wrong with me?"
Because somehow, with unlimited possible sentences available in human language, that's what he chose. But the embarrassment only lasts a moment, because the second he remembers her voice, a weird smile slowly spreads across his face. Now he's sitting on his bed, replaying everything like it was some life-changing event. He starts wondering why she always looks so tired whenever he sees her. Maybe her job is exhausting. Maybe life is hard for her too. Then he lies down, staring at the ceiling, thinking that even with tired eyes, she still looks beautiful, and secretly hoping that after today, she might finally remember his face. Meanwhile, next door, she quietly takes out medicine and swallows a few pills. A headache, apparently something she deals with often. Then, for the first time, she also thinks about him, wondering when exactly a man like that started living next door, and after a short pause, mentally labels him.
What a nerd.
Back in his apartment, Dapfree suddenly notices his knee. That immediately brings back the train incident. His expression darkens. He sits up, annoyed all over again, staring at it like it personally betrayed him, then angrily declares,
I have a beautiful knee.
which solves absolutely nothing. And right then, his phone lights up. A new text message. Just 3 words.
Meet up tomorrow?
The message turns out to be from a girl named Ellie, an old college friend he hasn't seen since graduation. She invites him for a meetup over drinks, says she wants to talk about something, and immediately Dapfree's brain stops functioning and starts replaying her face instead. Because yes, she was cute. Very cute. The kind of cute that instantly makes a lonely man ignore logic, but even through the excitement, one suspicious thought still survives. They were never that close. So why would she suddenly invite him out now? People usually don't suddenly come back into your life without a reason, which means she probably wants something. And deep down, he knows that. But unfortunately, knowing something and resisting a cute girl are 2 completely different skill sets. One glance at her message again, and like any desperate loser would, he decides not to let this chance slip away. So he says yes. Later, beer mugs collide. They sit together drinking, and Dapfree awkwardly admits he wasn't even planning to drink this much tonight. Trying to sound normal, he smiles and tells Ellie it's nice seeing her again after so long. She smiles too, agreeing like this reunion actually matters equally on both sides. By late night, both of them are walking unsteadily. Dapfree notices Ellie struggling to walk and asks if she's okay. Then, trying to act dependable for once, he tells her he'll take her home. But suddenly, she grabs his t-shirt, tight, looks at him with half-drunk eyes and says,
But I don't want to go home.
And just like that, his brain freezes. The next scene shifts straight to a hotel. Morning light, clothes scattered on the floor. They both take a shower. And then, Dapfree opens his eyes, still in bed, alone, in his own room. Because of course none of that happened. He slowly sits up, realizing his own brain just wrote premium fan fiction while he slept. He laughs at himself. Even he knows his imagination just gave him more than life ever has. Embarrassed at himself, he drops back onto the bed and closes his eyes again. Then one desperate thought crosses his mind. If he falls asleep fast enough, maybe the dream resumes like a paused video. Meanwhile, next door, his neighbor is also awake, changing sides over and over, frustration growing with every minute. Eventually, she grabs her phone, checks the time, and sits up while pressing her fingers against her forehead. Another headache, another sleepless night. The headache keeps her awake, and the lack of sleep only makes the headache worse. Something she has been experiencing for months now. She sighs, exhausted. Then, suddenly, a blurry face appears in her mind. Someone she clearly did not invite into her thoughts. The next day, Dapfree meets Ellie, this time in reality. And once again, most of his attention goes exactly where you expect, her face. Because honestly, whatever she's saying barely survives the trip to his brain. At first, she starts talking about the Soviet Union, for some reason. About how it collapsed, got divided, lost everything, but apparently still had incredible technology. Dapfree listens with all his might, but his 2 brain cell understands nothing. Then she finally reaches the actual reason for this entire conversation. According to her, that same advanced technology was used to create health-related products. Meaning, if the Soviets could send a human into space, then naturally their air cleaner must also be elite. She keeps talking about science, about health, about products. Meanwhile, Dapfree is still stuck thinking, she is cute, very cute. but somehow talks like a retired uncle trapped inside a sales presentation. And before he fully realizes what happened, thirst defeats intelligence again. He buys everything. Every single product she brought. Walking home later, carrying the evidence of his own weakness, he starts criticizing himself immediately. Because deep down, he knows exactly what happened. He got trapped. And worse, he willingly helped set the trap. Back home, he unpacks everything one by one. Calling himself an idiot, he thinks he should have simply said he wasn't interested. But then self-esteem kicks in and drags him lower. Why would a girl ever call someone like him unless she wanted something? Still, money is gone now. So at least he decides to use what he bought. He plugs in a belly massager, turns it on. The vibration starts. And honestly, these products always feel convincing for the first few seconds. Just enough comfort to create false hope. Dap-Free feels it too. He thinks about taking it one step further. Like a person who wants quick results, he decides to work out at the same time. So he starts doing push-ups. But the wire stretches too far. The extension cable slips, falls. For one brief second, he realizes this may have been a terrible idea. And suddenly, sparks. Then electricity shoots straight into the belly massager. No more gentle vibration. Now it's full premium juice. A direct 240 volts ripping through his body like the universe personally got tired of him. His entire body locks. This man gets fried in real time. Every day he finds a new way to drop one level below. Absolutely crispy. Next door, his neighbor is quietly watching TV when the power suddenly starts flickering. Then she hears screaming through the wall. Loud, violent, completely unhinged. She immediately looks annoyed, assuming Dap-Free is once again being painfully loud for no reason. What she doesn't know is that on the other side of that wall, this idiot may have just electrocuted himself into the biggest change of his life.
Dap-Free lies unconscious, faint steam still rising from his groin. A moment later, he wakes up with a sharp gasp and quickly sits up. He checks himself for burns or injuries. Finding nothing serious, he lets out a long breath of relief. Then he angrily looks at the product boxes and kicks them away in frustration. A knock comes at the door. He opens the door casually, only to freeze when he realizes his crush is standing outside. Slightly embarrassed, he listens as she quietly asks him to keep the noise down since it is late, and she is trying to sleep. Dap-Free apologizes, awkwardly explaining that he was just working out. Suddenly, her eyes drift downward at his groin, which is still releasing smoke. Her expression immediately changes. She turns pale, starts sweating, and with a quick,
"I'm gonna go now,"
she jumps back before quickly escaping into her apartment. Dap-Free stands there, confused, unable to understand why she reacted like that. A second later, his attention drifts again, this time toward the thought of how she looked in her night clothes. On the other side of the door, the cute neighbor leans against it. She was caught off guard, thinking about what she just witnessed. Later that night, Dap-Free carries everything he bought to a nearby trash can, deciding to throw it all away. He is already irritated that Ellie has stopped replying to his messages as well. As he hesitates over whether damaged products can be left there, a voice from behind tells him to leave them. He turns around to find an old man, a garbage collector. Dap-Free thanks him and places all the boxes into the man's cart. As the old man walks away, Dap-Free watches him for a moment, a worrying thought crossing his mind about whether it's safe for him to carry those items. Back in his room, he lies on his bed. The disappointment lingers. The products didn't even last a single day. During the night, after he falls asleep, a faint, blue sparkling glow begins spreading across his body. The next morning, while riding the metro to work, Dap-Free repeatedly tries to contact Ellie, but she ignores every message. His patience begins to run out, and he starts sending angry texts saying the products nearly killed him and that he will take action if she keeps avoiding him. Still nothing. That's when he notices something. Someone is sitting right next to him. As he glances sideways, he recognizes her. The same girl from last night. The one who looked at him with disgust. He has seen her around before, likely because they share a similar schedule. Suddenly, the train shakes. This time, her knee brushes against his leg. A wave of tension runs through him. He freezes, already anticipating what might happen next. Slowly, he looks toward her. He gets confused as her knee remains there. Not only that, she subtly moves even closer. Dapfrey stares at her in disbelief, but she continues sitting normally, as if nothing unusual is happening. Trying to avoid trouble, he shifts away. But again she follows. This time there is a faint smile on her face. His heartbeat rises. He has no idea what is happening. He feels relieved. Maybe his knee doesn't feel bad after all. Later at work, Dapfrey finds himself distracted, replaying the train incident in his head. His colleague quietly approaches from behind, trying to surprise him, and pats him on the shoulder. But the moment his hand touches Dapfrey's shoulder, something feels off. A strange sensation forces him to pull his hand back immediately. Dapfrey turns around. His colleague notices the smile on his face and asks what happened. Dapfrey casually mentions that something good happened to him that morning. The colleague barely takes any interest. Then both of them suddenly look toward the shop entrance and tense up. Heavy footsteps echo through the store as a strongly built man storms inside, clearly agitated. He demands to speak to the manager. Dapfrey steps forward and offers to help. The man immediately begins complaining about a laptop he purchased from the store. According to him, his son has been constantly playing games on it, and if he had known that would happen, he would have never bought it. Dapfrey, confused, calmly explains that there is no such laptop that can selectively block games and suggests simply telling his son not to play so much. But instead of calming the man down, this only makes him angrier. He takes it personally, as if his parenting is being questioned. Behind Dapfrey, his colleague quietly remarks that this man comes here often just to vent his frustration. The last time he had complained about a TV being too high quality for his eyes. Unfortunately, the man hears this. In an instant, he grabs the colleague by the collar and lifts him off the ground. The situation escalates dangerously fast. He asks if the colleague was disrespecting him and dares him to do that again. He raises his fist, ready to punch him. Before he can, Dapfrey grabs his arm. At that moment, something unusual happens. A faint, invisible glow passes between them. The man turns toward Dapfrey with anger, but his expression slowly softens. The tension leaves his face, replaced first by calm, then by an oddly pleasant smile. Dapfrey releases his grip. The man, now completely composed, starts rubbing his own arms as if experiencing a strange sensation. Dapfrey cautiously asks if he is all right. The customer clears his throat and suddenly agrees with Dapfrey's advice, saying he will talk to his son instead. Still confused, Dapfrey nods along. With a warm smile, the man apologizes for his behavior and extends his hand for a handshake. Dapfrey hesitates for a moment, but accepts it. As they shake hands, the man subtly rubs his thumb across Dapfrey's hand. Feeling awkward, he quickly pulls his hand back. The customer simply winks, waves goodbye, and walks out of the store looking completely calm. His colleague, still processing what just happened, asks how Dapfrey managed to calm him down so quickly. Dapfrey doesn't have an answer. He looks down at his hands, and for the first time, he begins to truly realize something about him has changed. That same evening, while returning from work, Dapfrey boards the metro. The doors slide open, and like always, the crowd moves in waves, people rushing in, others pushing their way out. And within that chaos, he sees her again. The same girl. Their eyes meet. For a brief moment, everything else fades. Dapfrey looks at her, clearly caught off guard, while she watches him with quiet curiosity. But the moment doesn't last. The train jerks forward, and within seconds, the space fills up. People squeeze in from every direction, and before Dapfrey can process anything, she ends up standing right behind him. A thought flashes in his mind.
She totally stood behind me intentionally.
He doesn't know, and honestly, he's not sure if he even wants to know. At the next stop, the situation only gets worse. More people pile in, and in the middle of that rush, someone accidentally pushes her forward. She stumbles and crashes straight into Dapfrey. The sudden contact catches him completely off guard. His body stiffens instantly, senses on high alert. But what happens next? is what truly throws him off. She doesn't move back. Even after regaining balance, she stays exactly where she is. Her expression shifts from calm to serene, and that's when the discomfort starts creeping in. She's standing unusually close, so close to his back as if they were in a relationship. Then, without hesitation, she leans forward slightly, resting her head against his back, as if this level of closeness doesn't bother her at all. And that's exactly what makes Dapfrey even more uncomfortable. Something about this situation doesn't feel right. He tries to ignore it, tries to convince himself it's just the crowd, but his body refuses to cooperate. Every bit of his attention is now locked onto what's happening behind him. The longer it continues, the more unbearable it becomes. He reaches his limit, and suddenly, he turns around, facing her directly. For a split second, both of them freeze. Realizing how close she is, the girl immediately steps back, a hint of embarrassment flashing across her face. But Dapfrey just stands there, confused. Looking at her, he doesn't feel anger. If anything, she looks more flustered than he is. And somehow, that makes him hesitate. Before either of them can say anything, the metro doors slide open. It's her station. She looks at him with a strange look, like she's already planned the next encounter. Then, she steps out, and just like that, she disappears into the crowd, leaving Dapfrey standing there, completely lost. He doesn't understand why and what just happened. That same evening, elsewhere, the cute neighbor drives back home from work, her expression tense. She's still dealing with the same persistent headache, pressing her fingers against her temple as if trying to suppress it. Her phone suddenly vibrates. She picks it up. A voice from the other end calmly informs her. He has returned to Korea. The words hit instantly. Her expression changes. Frustration takes over as she responds sharply, saying she doesn't care, that it has nothing to do with her. And before the conversation can go any further, she disconnects the call. Later that night, Dapfrey finally returns home, but his mind is far from calm. The events from the metro keep replaying over and over again. Just as he's about to enter his apartment, he hears footsteps. It's her, the cute neighbor, walking toward her door, still pressing her head, clearly not feeling well. Dapfrey looks at her, concerned. He asks if she's okay, but before he can even speak, she walks past him, without a word, without even acknowledging his presence, and disappears inside her apartment, as if he was never there. Dapfrey stands still for a moment. Confused, he wonders if something's wrong with her. But that thought doesn't last long, because almost instantly, his mind drifts back to the metro, to that moment, to that feeling. After all, it was his first time experiencing something like that. He just can't stop thinking about it. Meanwhile, the girl from the metro sits alone on her bed, holding on to a teddy bear, scrolling absent-mindedly through her phone. But her mind isn't on the screen. It drifts back, to him, to that strange moment in the train. Slowly she lies back, staring at the ceiling, replaying the feeling she experienced. Something unfamiliar, something oddly comforting. A soft sigh escapes her lips, and with a faint smile, she mutters,
"I want more."
The end! Full version of this video with uncut scenes are uploaded to our Telegram channel. Like this video and subscribe to this channel to join the Telegram channel. The link is in the description. Leave a comment and tell us what you think about our video and whether you'd like us to continue with this story. If you want part 2 of this video, then like this video and also share it with your good friends who spend hours finding a good story. If we get 1,000 likes on this video, we will upload the next video in next 10 days. Thank you for watching.